And a very good evening, everyone. Welcome into the final box seat of season 2016-17. Some wonderful scenes out of Ashburton Raceway, joined by my normal compadres, Craig Thompson. The culmination of a Group 1 season completed on a fantastic day at Ashburton.
Yeah, good evening to you, Michael, Greg, and the viewers as well. Hope your Wednesday's been a good one. It was a great day, Greg, and what I did notice, the pattern of the racing on the day, you had to be on the speed on the marker pegs, but what was interesting was where the barrier draws panned out. We had 3 winning from the second row, barriers 10 and 14. Then we had 4 winners from 6 and 7. Only 2 winners with inside draws. So Ashburton, a very fair track. It played wonderfully well. It got faster as the day progressed, and it was a great day racing.
I think from my point of view, Michael, the thing that stood out the most was there was almost a story with each and every of the 9 winners, something we don't often see, particularly with the domination of the All-Stars. Evening to you.
Yeah, evening to you. Big hi to everybody. Thanks for joining us most Wednesdays throughout the racing season. It's been a lot of fun to bring you the shows, and I think it was also a lot of fun. There were a couple of upsets, guys. Even though they were from big stables, Barry Purdon with a 45-1 chance, Mark Annette with a 40-1 chance. It adds to the fibre of the day. I agree with it. Stories everywhere. As a journalist, you're writing about the David Butt recovery story, all those sorts of things. The Ashley Lokes backstory is one of the better ones of the day. So we've got just under 90 minutes now to go through all those.
Right, looking forward to that. Let's summarise things from the day. Quickest time were jointly shared by Heaven Rocks and Jack's Legend, 4 and 3-year-old respectively. Biggest winning margin was Heaven Rocks, 4.5 lengths. He bolted in, as we know. Craig's alluded to Barrier 7 being very popular. Shortest price favourite was Piccadilly Princess, and the longest Jack's Legend, just ahead of Ashley Lokes. And there was only one New Zealand record, and if you back that with the bookies, I think it was around about the $5 shot. Right, let's get straight into it with the first of our reviews, and it was the 4-year-old Emerald. We were hoping that this horse would come out and produce his absolute best. His name was Heaven Rocks, of course, and as they scored up in behind the gate, how close was he going to be?
Sinners repent because Heaven Rocks. And Heaven Rocks won it by 4.
So that was the end of the race, but most importantly, Michael Guerin, let's take in the footage of the start of it and how far behind them he was at the start. When you consider his overall time, there he is, some 3 or 4 lengths off the back, but we were lucky enough to be alluded to where he might try and track by Natalie Rasmussen, and that was behind Waikiki Beach.
And a brave drive from Natalie too, because she goes through them. You naturally don't think about a horse, or him being a horse in the harness jewels colours, who would go through horses, but he did so very kindly. Gets on the back of Waikiki Beach, but it was sort of panned out a little bit weird at the start because he was a really long way back, about 100 metres from the score up. But once he got to hear Craig Thompson, this was inch perfect. They're not going particularly quick in front. They're going quick enough, but not quick enough that he has to sprint to get there. He ambles around them. You know he's going to get to the parked out position. But he was the only horse all day who was able to get to a parked out position, then change gears. Most of the winners we're going to see throughout this program are going to come from on the marker pegs. He's just in a different league.
Yeah, he is. Overcame an unruly, probably added 10 metres to his mobile starting point because he wasn't scoring up at that point. He was still, as I say, 4 or 5 lengths away when they let them go. The second favourite, Waikiki Beach, pressed to the front at this point, and Heaven Rocks gets outside. And I thought he controlled the tempo quite nicely sitting outside him. He didn't over-race. He settled quite nicely. Probably a little bit of a concerning moment at the top of the straight when he slightly ducks in, boys. But it was the acceleration from probably the 400 to the 200 because within basically 3 or 4 strides, he put 3 lengths on them, and he was just dominant. And to be fair, everything else had a shot at the winning of the race. Mr. Mojito was second best and clearly second best.
Yeah, he was very good off the gate, Mr. Mojito. That provided him with an economical trip and therefore the second placing. But he's definitely getting better. I know he ducked in there, but when we saw the head-on, Michael, it wasn't as exaggerated as perhaps that looks there. And Natalie said right throughout the run, he was kind. She kept using that word, which is a word she hasn't associated with this horse very often.
Let's talk about him before talking about the Beaten Brigade. Really interesting conversation with Natalie post-race, and she said, look, he's not that he's a mean horse or he's nutty or he wants to be a bad horse. He broke a past as a young horse, And she thinks because he's very timid, his confidence has never recovered from that, and therefore he's almost scared going into some of these situations. She believes they can nurture him out of that over a period of time, which is going to be crucial heading towards New Zealand Cups, Miracle Miles. He's in the conversation now. We know he's at least as good as the B-grade open class horses. Is he as good as Lenny the Shark and obviously Lazarus? Well, so far he's not, because Lazarus drop-kicked him last time they met. But he's got the motor to keep on getting better. He'll be a New Zealand Cup horse, I'm pretty sure of that. Where they choose to go with him, I think it's going to be a lot up to how much he matures, Craig.
What I want to ask you, Michael, because I think sprint races in Australia, Miracle Mile, will be ideal for him. But at Ashburton, what type of time could he run? Because as the track got faster, he's gone 151.8, and he started off unruly and probably a mobile 10, if I could use that phrase. Had he drawn the front, had the track been faster during the day, was 150 possible for him yesterday?
Oh, there's no doubt it's the first New Zealand sub 150. A warmer day would help. But to get the 150s, you need what you see a lot at Menangle with Shane Tritton's horses. They come off the gate quick, but the second quarter's fast. Our second quarters the other day weren't particularly fast. Once that quarter's fast, you're in the ball game, because it's only 4 quarters and it's just adding them up. And the last half's always going to be quick. So that 1200 to 800, which is where we thought he would improve and where he did improve. Clearly he's a sub 150 horse, because Waikiki Beach has gone sub 150 twice this season, and he's a better horse than Waikiki Beach. Waikiki Beach is the horse you come out of the race with the concerns about, fellas. Mr. Mojito's coming back to New Zealand to be set for the New Zealand Cup. Waikiki Beach doesn't look like he's got any better, and sometimes you wonder if they've forgotten how to win. Back in the easy grades, I think he would win, but there's no easy grades on his rating grid. If he was mine, I'd send him to Australia.
OK, well, I know he's gone to the paddock as it is, but let's hear from the beaten drivers out of the 4-year-old Emerald.
Trip was worthwhile, Kieran.
It was, yeah, it worked out that way. We were always hopeful the horse would acquit himself well, and he's done that today. Really happy.
Did you come off the gate as easy as you thought you would?
Better than I thought, actually. I didn't think he had a great gate speed in the past, and I was just going to come out as quick as I could and see where we logged, and he came out the gate really well and held the front quite easy. So then he settled well and came back to me good, so was pleased with that too.
Must be a wee bit intimidating seeing a horse like Heaven Rocks loom up turning for home though.
Yeah, yes, he's a pretty good horse, that one, and look, we were a little held up on the bend and he got away on us, but we held our own on him in the straight, so I was really pleased with that, and really happy for the second. What
do you do with your guy now?
He's probably on a pretty tough mark in Australia, M3 I think, so there's not a lot of options for him, but he's just going to have to race in the free-for-alls and hopefully the country cups in the future.
Well, Jared, what were your expectations coming into today?
Oh, not a lot. We just thought just to be in it was great, and to run in first 6 would have been happy.
Talk us through the race.
He got off the gate and followed Don Domingo out, and we held our own good, and he just travels like he usually does. He just sits in there, minds his own business, and around the last bend actually he was going really good, and I thought they weren't going quite fast enough because he was actually travelling good. But and then when I come off the fence and I ran up to behind Waikiki Beach, and I thought shit. So then I had to change ground again, and once we got the gap he come on good, so it was really pleasing.
What do you do with him now, Jared?
There's that race at Addington in a fortnight, the Sire Stakes Summer Ford or what it's called. Yeah, we'll go there and then he'll probably have a spell after that.
Mark, what did you make of Waikiki Beach today?
Look, he had his chance. He just felt like he was working most of the race, so just didn't feel quite as good as what I thought he should. And turning in, Heaven Rocks just put 5 lengths on me in a blink of an eye, and of course there was 5 or 6 others that went past me in the run to the line.
With Heaven Rocks and Waikiki Beach, what are your plans?
Heaven Rocks will go to the paddock now, and he'll prepare for the Cup in November, but haven't made any final plans with Waikiki Beach as yet.
So, jury's out on Waikiki Beach at this stage. Craig Thompson, Natalie Rasmussen, 48 from 90, and if you throw in her placing, 75 times in the money. Her strike rate unreal, and the All-Stars with that win took their season earnings over $4 million for the second time.
Yeah, she's an absolutely outstanding driver, isn't she, Greg? She puts her horses in the right place. I'm sure she's got great cattle to do it, but I mean, you have a UDR of 0.56 and you're driving less than 100 times. You're winning basically 1 in every 2 and placed in every second start as well. So she's doing a wonderful job. Michael, she's leading our female drivers this season on the UDR, but I mean, I think a lot of our junior drivers and a lot of our female drivers can take note of what she does, because she's aggressive, she puts her horses in the right place, and she's not scared to use them.
Agreed. You need the right horse. Well, everybody knows that you need the right horses, but the easiest question for you at home is, when you see one of their horses and she's on it, how does it make you feel about backing it? Well, that's the proof in the pudding. You're talking, Greg, about the fact that they've won $4 million in New Zealand this season, All-Stars. Let's not forget what they've done in Australia. Their record season a couple of years ago was $6 million. Well, they've had Smolder win an Inter-Dominion, run second in a Miracle Mile, which is worth a lot of money, win a Ballarat Cup, South Australia Cup. Vincent's won a New South Wales Derby. They actually trifected, so they get all the stake out of that. Piccadilly Princess won the Ladyship, goes on and on and on. They must be getting close to $2 million in stakes there, with more to come. Vincent's in the Breeders' Challenge, lots more to come. I think $6 million would be a very realistic figure for their total Australasian take this season, which most galloping stables in Australasia, the big boys, will be thrilled with that.
Yep, they certainly would be. Just before we leave that one, Max Factor are really good, and obviously Sparkling Delight, just a great story.
Well, it's great for the locals, isn't it? And with Max Factor too, I think you got about $4,500 for running fifth. So had they paid their way, they were probably in the deep end there, Greg. But he's a nice horse, and he'll travel back to Cambridge. And
before we go, I need to ask you this: is he the second best horse in the country? When you take into account Dream About Me and the Orange Agent and a lot of the other horses and Smolder, is Heaven Rocks the second best horse in the country?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. He could well be the best horse in the country next season, because he's got the ability. He's not there at the moment. Lazarus has proven he's done that, and he's beaten them this season, but he's got a motor that's untapped. Lazarus has been there, done that. This bloke is just something special.
In one word?
This season, Smolder's the second best horse in the country. Heaven Rocks Smolder's getting older, Heaven Rocks is getting better.
Yeah, longevity.
So
next, more than one word, Michael.
Yeah.
It's a lot of words. I know a lot of words, as you know. You know I don't know the one word.
All right, we've got 9 jewels to get through. Hanley Formula 3-year-old Emerald, that's next.
Ultimate Machete on the outside is trying hard, more the better, and Jack's Legend is going to zip through on the inside and beat them all. Jack's Legend, gate speed, it's a beautiful thing.
A great effort by Barry Perd and Zach Butcher, of course, a track they had great success with Sky Major and the filly winning as well, the 4-year-old mare. Lancewood Lizzie, when they won with her. So, yep, they love this place, and he probably did more than anyone expected here. I know Barry was happy with him going into the race, but his gate speed was to the fore here, Michael.
Won on the race. Put him anywhere else in the race, he simply doesn't win. Beautiful drive by Zach. I mean, Zach said to me after the race, look, all day I was back in the field and couldn't make ground. I had enough of that. He said, I'm either going to lead here or almost miss out, because if I don't have a chance of leading and handing up, I've got no chance. Beautiful drive. We saw some beauties during the day. Craig Thornley's one earlier doors. Dexter Dunn was superb. Nicky Chilcott even. The gate speed was so crucial, as Mark Mack will say. We see the moves coming now. We'll talk later about the significance of this win. But hands up to the right horse, an Ultimate Machete. What was even more beautiful later on was they get to the passing lane, and Zach doesn't move. He sits there and waits and waits and waits, because he knows Jack's Legend is not as good as Ultimate Machete, but he's faster than him over 200 metres, and he held him up for probably 175 metres. Great training performance. Horse has had a long season. He's been to Victoria. He's been in every bun fight there's been. Greg, I could not find him winning this race. He has never, all season, looked as good as Ultimate Machete, but that's why you line up. That's why you have gate speed. That's why you give them their chance. And he was expertly trained by one of the greats.
And why I wanted to mention the Lancewood Lizzie scenario was he did exactly the same with Venus Serena. Dropped to the trail, followed the right one, and he was patient, Zach.
He didn't drop into the passing lane at the 250. He waited till the 100-metre mark and beat her up the lane with speed. And he beat Ultimate Machete with speed here. He never raced as a 2-year-old, so he's done this on one preparation. All 16 starts have been as a 3-year-old. So, hey, he's been a big achiever in the later months of the season, but it was the same trifecta in the Sales Series, the same trifecta in the Sire Stakes. These 3-year-olds have probably been the top 3-year-olds going now.
And Ultimate Machete was probably a victim of the fact that he hadn't had the recent racing. That's obvious, but as I said, you take your chance. The significance of this race, Barry Purdon, I'm pretty sure, as best I can work out the figures, because obviously the computer system doesn't go back far enough, and there is an Australian system, which, long story short, I'm pretty sure that's his 100th Group 1 success as a trainer. Now, that's been shared with his father Roy, with Scott Phelan for a short period of time, and then more latterly by himself, Barry Purdon. 100 Group 1 winners to train is an enormous amount. Now, some of the galloping trainers might have had that overseas, but to train harness horses to win Group 1s is incredibly, the time that goes into it.
And the longevity, he's been at the top level.
So I had this conversation with Barry. He said, look, I wasn't sure, but really thrilled if I've got there, and I'm pretty sure I have. Loved Zach's drive. A lot of credit goes to the staff over the years. So I posed him the big two. What was the best horse during that 100 Group 1 wins? As you boys would expect, Chokin got the nod. What was the most important of the 100 Group 1 wins? Luxury Liner, New Zealand Cup, 1988. He said that was the most special one, the one that still resonates with me the most. This horse is a wonderful little horse. I think we'll see a lot of depth out of this crop, Greg, going forward, and horses we can see go on to progress to be genuinely good sort of open class horses.
He's a very, very good preparer and a very good chooser of yearlings, obviously, Barry Purdon. And the syndicate that raced this horse, the Clearview Racing Syndicate, they have so much success. Greg, the 10th Group 1 winner. Zach's driven 9 of them, Tony's driven 1. They've got obviously a couple with Maxim, a couple with Chair the Lady, of course, this one as well. So they've had a really good run. They put money back into the yearlings again this year, and it's a syndicate that's been very, very successful.
Yeah, definitely. 4th win for Better's Delight, taking his total to 22 Jules, so he's clearly the leader in that regard.
Yep, and something you don't see very often. Barry beat 4 of Mark and Natalie's horses, so the Purdon's first 5 home. And as I said, he could have packed his bags after the New Zealand Derby and said, we're not getting much joy here, we're not getting much money, but you keep on going. And you know, this is a win for perseverance, because when you went through the Sales Series and the Sire Stakes, you could not make any case on earth that this horse was going to beat Ultimate Machete. But every dog has his day, and this is a very good dog.
All right, the beaten drivers, dominated, of course, by the All-Stars.
Nat, with the lack of racing, what did you make of the run coming into today?
Oh, I thought he went super. Look, just beaten by the better horse on the day. The other guy did all the work off the arm, and he was just too quick. Thrilled with my guy, and I think Mark was wrapped with his guy as well. So, no, honestly, it's been a great day and could not be happier.
Mark More the Better, what did you make of his efforts today?
I was very proud of his effort. He, off the back of just about 3 trials, he came into this, they went 51 in a piece, and halfway down I thought he might have had the better of the other 2, but he just it just told that his preparation just told, I'd say.
All right, what do you do with the 4 runners you had in this race now?
Well, we'll evaluate things. We booked More the Better to go to Queensland, and so he'll contest the Derby there, but we'll probably spell the other 3.
Johnny Stars the line, what did you make of it?
Yeah, he got home super, Matt. They've run home in 25 and a bit, and he's come from, probably 4 or 5 lengths off them. So to make up ground on a quick quarter like that, he's gone good.
So that's the 6th win for Barry Purdon, so he's second equal on the all-time Jules winners training-wise, alongside Jeff Small, but a wee way behind the All-Stars juggernaut of 34 wins. That wraps up the 3-year-old Emerald. Let's move on to the juveniles.
Ahead, Bright Diamond. Over the top of them now comes Ashley Locas in the Devil's Own. Ashley Locas, yes!
Yeah, big surprise, wasn't it? This, the Commodore Airport Hotel Emerald for the 2-year-old Spankham, was exactly that, on the tote. He was unbackable, and expectations were he'd get off the gate, but Michael, an opening half in just over 56 seconds meant the pressure was on throughout.
Yeah, and maybe that burn cost him. I still think he might be the best of this crop, but let's not forget they were at 151.9. That's 9/10 of a second inside the former record held by Sky Major. The New Zealand 2-year-old mile record has been set 3 times in this race on this day. Here he is in front. Around the outside comes his old mate, and they've had a few battles now. Alta Maestro probably put it to him just enough, but that's his racing style. There was no savaging there. It set it up very nicely for a horse in a similar position to the Devil's Own Craig 3 starts ago. 3 deep on the marker pegs, you're not doing any work, you're not covering any extra ground, you're not using any energy. Is Ashley Locaz the best of these? Maybe not. Time will tell eventually, but it was a beautiful drive by Tim Williams and extremely reminiscent also of Dizzy Miss Lizzie, who we'll see a little bit later in the show.
Absolutely. Hugging the marker pegs and being on the speed was the pattern of the day, but probably what counteracted that was the performance of the second horse, the Devil's Own. There was nothing that came from back in the field and came wide that got anywhere near them. This bloke did. I clocked him last night. I couldn't believe the sectionals that he went. And also, boys,
he just got bumped out 4 wide by Cole Pecker.
Well,
there
that's
as
right.
Well.
When he's come wide on the track, they were running a 54.8 last half. So his sectionals were around 54.5. So he's really got home brilliantly. I thought on the day it was an outstanding performance and one of the runs of the day. But you put this horse 3 back on the fence where Ashley Locaz was, he probably would have won it, absolutely. But I think the horse that won it showed that he hadn't raced for 6 weeks, that he's a very nice horse. So he won his first up at Invercargill, then he won again. He's a nice horse.
Well, the story behind this one was he was turned out. They thought, oh, probably not going to make the jewels, and there was a change of mind. Put him in, there he goes, bang. First live foal out of the mare. The first one they slipped and the second one was a dead foal. So, yep, this is the first racetrack appearance for the stock of this mare, Ashley Cullen, isn't it, winner?
And the family goes back to Ashley Knight, who was a very good horse, a 152 pacer back in the day when that was quick. About 30 years ago, for the Murfitt family. The Van Beeks bred this horse. Mark Smolinski broke it in, as he does a lot of the horses who end up at the All-Stars, and he rang Mark Purdon and said, I've broken this horse in, these people aren't owners of yours, but I think you should take it. And Mark said, look, we've got too many owners, too many horses, no thank you. Conversation ends. Week later, Mark Smolinski rings him back and says, look, you really should take this horse. It's broken and as good as Pacing Major and more the better. Mark's little ears prick up and he goes, all right, I'll take the horse. So that's how he ends up with it. So Mark Smolinski deserves some of the credit here. A lot of the other credit goes to Tim Williams. There probably wasn't a lot more he could do, but it was a nice bit of balancing the horse up, then getting it at the right time. Run of the race was probably the second horse, but it's not always about that. I'm thrilled to see these new owners, who I don't know, the Van Beeks, get a horse to win on Jules Day. Nice quote from Tim Williams. He said, I really enjoyed it, it was cool. He said, later that night, Peter Van Beek rang me and said, this is one of the highlights of my life. And Tim said, that to me made me feel great.
Yeah, wonderful story there. Look, the Devil's Own, outstanding. A few other good runs. So I thought the Black Prince was very good.
All You Need Is Faith.
All You Need Is Faith. He made up a lot of ground.
Behind the Devil's Own, so he's made up an awful lot of ground as well. And Bright Diamond, for a horse that's only a maiden, I know he got an economical trip, but you're going 152. I mean, that's a hell of a run, and probably inside the old New Zealand record as well, so he's got a bright future.
I think this is going to be a good crop. There's a lot of horses out of this crop who are going. Spankum's obviously a very good horse. The Devil's Own's a very good horse. Ultra Maestro's a very good horse. There's a lot of horses out of this crop who are going to go forward, and we're going to have a really deep 3-year-old crop. And then there's those who are going to turn up against Sicario, might come back, Gentle Giant, all the horses who are going to the Breeders' Crown. So, yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun next year.
All right, let's have a listen to the drivers finishing in behind Ashley Locaz.
Nat, on what he's shown as a 2-year-old, he'd be a far better 3-year-old.
Oh, definitely. Look, he's a real 3-year-old type. He's real sort of quite a big, solid guy, and he's just getting better and better. You know, his manners have come good. Like, he was a bit of a little pig at the start, but you know, I was pleased today. Like, he come off good speed. He come wide. He didn't try to run down into them. We made a few gear changes for him. He hit the line solid. You know, just the other little guy probably had that little bit better trip on the fence, but no, I couldn't have been happier.
Right, to the paddock for him now?
To the paddock, yes. Yeah, thank you.
Mark, what did you make of Spankum?
I was wrapped with his run. I went hard early, and that was just probably took its toll, just burning that first sort of 300 metres. But he didn't give it away, and he fought right to the line, and you know, it was a great effort.
With your 2-year-olds, can we expect to see any of them continue racing?
No, not in that field. No.
Well, for a maiden, Gav, you must be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, ecstatic, Matt. Halfway down, we dared to dream, but yeah, the class horses shone through at the end. But we're stoked with his run, like big jump up to that grade of racing. Obviously, he had a good run, but he performed above our expectations. So looking forward to next year with him.
All right, what is the plan with him now? Does he go to the paddock?
See how he comes through it. He actually pulled up super, so we might press on and get a maiden a couple of weeks' time at Addington. We'll let him tell us. We'll see how he comes through it, but we're not too stressed either way, either paddock or maybe one more.
Matt, All You Need Is Faith. What did you think of the efforts?
Yeah, look, he's got nice today. You know, 3 wide, 1 back, following Devil's Own. Nice one to follow, and he's hit the line nicely and really run a credible 5th. So yeah, all's well.
So that wraps up the Emeralds from Jules Day 2017. When we return, it'll be time to have a look at the sparkly things. They're called diamonds.
Commanded by Medina Sidonia, 2017 Commanderette Rasmussen.
And her domination of the 3-year-old filly section continued. Spanish Armada, a dominant winner of the 3-year-old Diamond, sponsored by the Mid-Canterbury Trotting Owners Association. She came through, of course, the Neville into the New Zealand Oaks, into this, joining the likes of Adore Me and Carabella. And well, she worked her way to the front pretty quickly after what transpired in the first 100 metres.
Yeah, and that changed the complexion of the race. Didn't change the result. Nikki Chilcott was excellent off the gate to give herself a chance. The horse wasn't good enough. She probably had a long season. But she got there. She gave herself a chance. But more importantly, she put Delightful Memphis 2 lengths further back. Spanish Armada rolls around the field, rolls to the front. And Craig, round about here, you knew what was going to happen next, and you knew what was going to happen at the end. The only question mark for a lot of the punters was, well, OK, what's going to happen to Delightful Memphis from here?
Yeah, absolutely. It did change the complexion of the race with Got to Go Darley Queen going rough off the gate, and also Juice Brogdon crossing to the front. But I think Delightful Memphis got out in time probably to win the race, but she probably wanted to be one spot closer. She's a great rolling filly, this. I mean, what she's had 11 starts this season, Greg. She's won 8 of them, 4 at Group 1, 1 at Group 2. Nearly $500,000, and you knew, right, Mike was quite correct, once she found the front from at this point there was no pressure and she was never going to be beaten. It was going to be who was going to make up the trifecta. It was left up to Delightful Memphis. Thought step up, fall back on the fence, ran on quite nicely to run into 4th, but even a horse like Delightful Joan, who's been as good as Bonnie Joan has been as good as she is this season, sitting up parked outside Spanish Armada has been a bridge too far for her. She fought on nicely to run 4th, but again, it was the first 4 into the straight that fought out the finish.
Well, you couldn't make a case for Bonnie Joan or Party On from where they were, knowing they were going to be behind the leader. The leader's at least as good, if not better than them, and clearly would suggest better than them. So coming wide on the track was a nightmare for them. So here we go, we head for the straight. The winner's just miles clear. They get sneaked through on Delightful Memphis, and that coming off the
this
market
wee
pegs.
Squirt here, I thought, oh, hang on. No, she's just too strong.
But then Spanish Armada again pulled away at the finish. It just shows you that she's such a tough filly.
There's always an optical illusion. You see it in the passing lane all the time. The horse who pushes through into that gap appears to close very quickly, but often when they come level past you again, hasn't made a lot of ground at all. No. She's a very good filly. Look, she's a very good filly, but it's hard to say she's as good as some of the greats we've had in recent years because the bar is so high. I mean, Dream About Me last year. Adore Me a couple of seasons ago. Carabella. DeLovely at the end of her season. What she's done is she's had longevity. She won all the feature races at Christmas. She's still racing now, and she's not finished yet. Makes sense to go on with her because as a 4-year-old filly, the mare's races are a disaster. Dream About Me's waiting for you. The Orange Agent, Piccadilly Princess, who we'll see soon. Press Deep, Queensland Oaks. Yes, take it. Take the Breeders' Crown. It's not just a matter of turning up over there and winning. Delightful Memphis is heading there. Party On could go too. Miss Graceland, the Victoria Oaks winner, is a very good filly, and Spectacular's a good filly. But these 3-year-olds, all getting together a couple of times over the winter, could probably be the highlight of the harness racing.
So potentially she could be a millionaire 3-year-old filly, or at the end of the Breeders' Crown, because she's sitting 750,000 at the moment.
Yeah, it's a really interesting situation for the Breeders' Crown. You look at this and you think, well, it's going to turn up and win the Breeders' Crown. That's what you think. Here's the question. Natalie Rasmussen is the key to this horse. She drives it like a truck and it responds. In August, Mark and Natalie are heading to the World Drivers' Champs. Mark to compete, Natalie to support. Who do you send to the Breeders' Crown? You might have 6 or 7 horses there. Now, somebody's got to go with them, whether it's Michelle Nielsen or Tim Williams, or I don't know who goes. But whoever goes, is it Mark or Natalie? And
Matt Bowden.
Matt Bowden, exactly. But and I don't know exactly. I don't know the answer to this, but whoever goes isn't going to be them. So you sort of lose 2 or 3 weeks of that impetus. So I reckon their Breeders' Crown team this year is going to have to be handled really well, because it's a difficult situation, because the bosses won't be there for much of that time until they get to the pointy end of the Breeders' Crown.
Let's get to Blair Orange, who's probably getting a little bit sick of being part of the beaten brigade when it comes to the 3-year-old filly section.
Blair, delightful Memphis. She's had a wonderful season, capped off with today's run.
Yeah, that's right, Maddie. You know, she's gone good again, and just couldn't muster that early speed to hold up. But you know, the way Spanish Armada won it, I don't think it would have mattered, mate. But you know, to my girl's credit, she's got out and got home bloody good.
David, step up, draw 1 the second row. What were your thoughts?
Keep up as good as we can, and we did that. Ended up full back, was probably just a little bit far back for her, but she kept coming to the line and run a solid third on a 25 last quarter, which probably made it a bit difficult to catch him.
Dexter Bonnie Joan?
Yeah, really happy with her too, Matt. You know, she was 3 wide and parked, and she stuck on the best she could and tried really hard, so good season. She'll enjoy her spell now.
Nikki, a big effort. What were your thoughts on the run?
Oh, look, considering everything that's transpired in the last sort of month, probably she's, you know, very much below her A game, but so very proud of her. She tried hard today. The whole complexion of the race changed 50 metres off the gate, and Blair wasn't keeping up, and I thought, oh, you know, he's going to run the gate, and then he didn't. So, look, we ended up with a great trip. No excuses whatsoever. She tried hard, but was just not quite there today.
Right, where to now?
Oh, look, she's going to go to the paddock. Queensland was definitely on the table, and we were really keen to head there. She's a tired horse. She needs a spell, home to the paddock. And, look, she's a big girl, and I hope that she comes back a better horse next year. You always hope that. But, look, she's done us proud this year, and owners a wrap. Just great to be here today. And, yeah, she's tried hard anyway. So, yeah, we'll take that and move on to next year.
Mark, what did you make of Party On's run today?
Yeah, quite happy with it. I had a bad draw and I just jumped on the 3 wide line and moved forward, but got left out when Dex crossed to the park position from the last sort of 1,000, and the effort took its toll, but she wasn't far away.
Right, with Spanish Armada and Party On, what have you got in place for them in the coming months?
I haven't sort of made any final plans as yet, but I would say Spanish Armada will definitely go on to the Breeders' Crown anyway.
All right, so Natalie Rasmussen, the first dual winner of that diamond. Craig Thompson, just one out of the race, I thought was very good. Delishka.
Got home from a long way back, Greg, especially when they're running over 25 seconds. She's made good ground to run 6, so she's progressing the right way for Brad Mowbray. All to go and have a great thrill. I thought a really good run.
All right, time for us to move to the 4-year-old diamond.
Yeah, so right, so fresh, so 5, no less. So right, I just flex. She can't get me out of her head. She wanna hear TT on a KDA with a KEB, and that's it. Oh yeah.
Piccadilly Princess leads, getting away now. A length and a half, Queen Bee Barden, Bronze Over and Ultimate Desire, and the favourite will be Too Good.
And she becomes another Jules winner, does Piccadilly Princess. Of course, so much trepidation about her even making the field. Then she comes up with Barrier 1 and, well, there was a surprise at the start, but not so much for me. I'd seen Queen Bee Barden get off the gate really hard and Ultimate Desire. Gee, didn't they come out right?
It was a surprise for me. I thought there was no chance with the Australian gates being able to cross Piccadilly Princess. She's raced over there so much, but good on Craig Thornley. One of the drives of the day. Dexter's was just as good. He followed him across, and watch him sneak into 3 deep on the markers here, Dex. Look, that gap is tiny. He's lucky he's skinny, Dex. He just got in there. And then obviously Mark retakes. I'll be honest with you. This win didn't excite me greatly because she's the best horse in the field by a long way. And I think they've just managed to stretch the rubber band as far as they could stretch it. And the rubber band's gone from Addington to Perth to Melbourne to Sydney and back here. This was a victory for the best horse in the race, fellas. It was a good training performance to turn her around. She's had enough. They kept her up for the right race. Had there been some of the better horses, or had she been drawn worse, she could have lost. But that's not what happened. And as you said, she's a Jules winner. For me, Ben Waldron, I think, would be just as thrilled with his second with Queen Bee Barden, and to be honest, Brad Mowbray with his third. There was a lot of winners out of this race, but the horse in front, probably, to be honest, raced 2 lengths below its best and still bolted it.
There was a reason why. I mean, she'd raced every month since October. So through October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May and June. Hadn't missed a month, this filly, and that included 8 races in Australia. So she had a pretty long season, but as we picked them up at the 400 metre mark here, the first 3 home were the first 3 in the market pegs. Very difficult to come wider on this speed, but bronze over, good run to run into 4th, Greg. I thought it made up nice ground.
Yeah, Arden's Choice, wide on the track, just got rough around that last bend, lost a bit of momentum, don't think it would have mattered anyway. She's not racing at her Auckland Cup placing peak.
No, she's not, and indicative of the day. Coming wide was a disaster in the pacing races, apart from the Devil's Own, to be honest. As I said, in the best form, Piccadilly Princess, Queen Bee Barden, you'd expect 2 or 3 lengths out of that. They qualified 12th and 13th. The Queen Bee Barden people were ecstatic. I felt happier for them than I did for the Patterson boys, because they've been there before, the Patterson boys who own the winner. They've had their fun, and that was a nice backup for them. But the second guys basically had a win.
Well, they doubled their stake money in one race. Yep. There were $22,000 going into that race. They got $25,000.
And her value as a broodmare. She's a lovely big roomy thing. She'll be able to breed on now. She'll leave nice size foals. So I don't think it surprised anybody, the result, but the start surprised me. And this head on here just gives you an indication. Like, they were closing on her. This was the last bridge for Piccadilly Princess. They run this race in 2 weeks and she might have needed to lie down.
Yeah, decent sort of a number amongst the owners as well. Mike Ward, who's been a long-time supporter of the game, and of course brother Barry, who will see his 2-year-old filly go an enormous race.
So, so sorry to interrupt you, Greg. What do they do with her for next season? Because now she's a 5-year-old. She's in the same boat as obviously Dream About Me.
I know exactly what I'd do. I would do exactly what they did this year. Go to Perth, go to Melbourne, go to Sydney, because you stay here for the Queen of Hearts, which is the only good mares race we have until March. The Orange Agent and Dream About Me are better.
She's rated 130 now.
Exactly, and she's not going to win a New Zealand Cup. Go those mares races, go around Australia, she races well there, do exactly the same thing, unless you want to breed from her. But Greg, I'd keep punching, why not?
Yep, no reason why not. Let's hear from Craig Thornley, amongst others, who no doubt was over the moon.
Well, she's been game, Craig. Was it always your intention to do that?
Yeah, I spoke to Ben about it and I said the only chance of even trying to run the money was to go forward. So we knew she had the gate speed across them, so we managed to get across them, and then Piccadilly Prince had come out, so it worked out good, get a nice trail behind her afterwards.
Dexter, Ultimate Desire?
Yeah, great run, Matt. Did a little bit out of the gate, got a nice trip after that, and she ran up the straight really good. So, you know, team's right with her run.
Well, Josh, it's worked the Oracle sending this mare south.
Yeah, no, it's been a great season for her, Matt. You know, she had a good trip today and she's run home really well, but you know, probably future plans, she might go to America after this, and you know, she's done us a good job, so you know, we owe her that.
Zach, your thoughts on Arden's Choice?
No, she went pretty well. They run home in a pretty slick 26-3 off the front, so she was always going to find it tough. Once they went that second quarter slow, happy with her. She's had a pretty good career, so the Broomere paddock for her now, and good luck to her.
All right, we'll move on from that diamond to the first race on the day. Of course, Elmac was our dominant favourite.
Elmac's under siege here. Here's Dizzy Miss Lizzie. Elmac, Dizzy Miss Lizzie is going to send the first into a spin. Dizzy Miss Lizzie and Blair Orange.
Let's get into this first race on the program, and the real mover amongst the 2-year-old fillies without doubt has been Dizzy Miss Lizzie. This was the Ashburton Guardian 2-year-old, and well, she showed good gate speed, Elmac, but I think she's like a lot of horses, and there were a lot of horses like her on the day racing below their optimum, Michael, because it's been a very long season, even though hers has been compacted into 2 months.
Yeah, and she's travelled to the North Island and come back. She's underperformed, I think, by a length and a half, but let's not discount the horse who's 3 deep on the marker pegs in the Nigel McGrath colours, and Nigel's training performance. Obviously she was a bit nutty, got a bit rank and a bit hot in the head sometimes. Nigel's calmed her down, trained her beautifully, perfect drive by Blair. It's very easy when the favourite's so short to talk about the favourite, but that's not the story of the race. She had her chance. She was in front, she had no pressure, she had every reason to win. I believe she's underperformed. Maybe Dizzy Miss Lizzie might just be a better filly. Maybe we don't know, and it's going to be fun next season finding out. 3 deep on the marker pegs here, as it's turned out, boys, for the day, was a beautiful position all day. That and the trail were great positions all day. So one of the more remarkable statistics of Jules Day, no horse led all the way to win on Jules Day. If you said there were going to be 9 mobile miles in this country and no horse is going to lead all day, remarkable. Thought the run of the horse outside the leader, Craig, who you tipped as the place chance, very, very good.
Yeah, she's a nice filly, isn't she? But yeah, Dizzy Miss Lizzie, I mean, a changeover, Greg, we talked about it last week. You'll think that the best changeovers approve at 3 and 4, so I expect her to keep improving. Behind the runners, Sweet Mary, I thought very good. A little bit unlucky into the passing lane behind Chevron's Express. I thought Brad Mowbray had a pretty good day. Didn't win one, but he was in numerous placings, and she's a nice filly to follow out of the race. Yeah,
and here's Blair getting to the middle of the track and charging at Almac, and yep, was a very, very good performance from her off an economical trip. You're right about Angel of Harlem. She's come a long way, New Zealand record. And
he got another one the following day, didn't he, Barry Wards? So team's going well.
And the other thing too, it's easy to be disappointed by Almac because she was so short. If she's a $4 chance, she's gone great. But because she's $1.50, punters wanted her to win, and that's understandable. So she probably wasn't bad by any means. She's finished second in a Group 1 race, but she wasn't as good as she was at Auckland. Dizzy Miss Lizzie's very scopy, very long for each. Now they can't go on with her because she's not eligible for the Breeders' Crown, which must hurt because Nigel would love to go back there. He's been there before, but Greg, she looks an Oaks filly. I also get the feeling, I said this way back when Better Joy won the Delightful Lady way back in February or March.
Things will change.
I've got a funny feeling there's horses who we haven't seen for this crop yet who will come out. But there's no dream about me's here yet, and I'm sure they might turn up that way, but I've got a funny feeling there's some others floating around somewhere in somebody's paddock who might come out and be the new Adore Me for the 3-year-old season.
You did say also earlier in the season about Nigel McGrath's one good horse away, or one Grand Circuit horse. She might be it, because she looks a lovely long filly that's going to develop into a 3-year-old, and he's had a lot of good. He's had a good season. Let's face it, Classy Brigade's been outstanding.
Well, he's got horses he can take to carnivals next year. It's hard to get away with one good horse. I spoke to Nathan Williamson about this, a dark horse. It's really hard to go to Auckland at Christmas with one horse. It's not economically viable. But Nigel's got Classy Brigade, a Loca, this horse, and probably plenty more I haven't thought of.
Burning those
exactly.
Type of horses.
So he can go to those carnivals next year and base himself as a carnival trainer, because otherwise it's not economically possible. This is clearly going to be an Oaks horse, and makes you wonder about the whole changeover thing. I mean, he's gone to Australia. He's probably a very good buy for them. There's lots of things that come out of this race. And I think it's a race which had a lot of twists and turns. We may not know the full extent of those until 6 months down the track.
Yeah, it could even be longer. Here's what those in behind that beautiful filly, Dizzy Miss Lizzie, thought about their chances.
Well, Nat, what did you make of the run?
Oh, look, I thought she went as good as she could. She did that little bit of work early, and then there was a bit of that, I think about a 26 and 6 between the 8 and the 4. She went good, but just beaten by a better filly on the day.
Right, what are the plans with her now?
Look, we were going to reassess. We were thinking Breeders' Crown, but I'll just wait and see how she pulls up, and then probably in the next week we'll really know what we're going to do with them all.
Well, David, give us the thoughts on the run of Angel of Harlem.
Oh no, it was a super run. We got left out there 3 wide for half of the race, and we managed to get to the death, and we just sort of started running from there, and she just kept coming. It was a really good effort to go 53.
Gav, give us your thoughts on the run.
Good run, Matty. Having the rail was big help, and following the right horse, it gives you advantage over all the ones trying to come wide. So she failed a chance at the 150, then Class probably shone through, but she battled away really hard and did a great job.
Well, Brent, from the draw, what did you think of the run?
Yeah, really good, Matty. You end up having to go back, and she was sort of last at the 400, and look, she's finished 6th and probably a close 4th, so gone really good on the run she got.
What are your plans heading forward now?
Oh, she'll go out, Matty, now for a couple of months. We'll give her a good break and bring her back, and hopefully she'll be a nice 3-year-old.
Dexter, Better Joy?
Really happy with her, Matt. 3 and 4 wide the trip. She fought on great.
So that was Dexter Dunn, talking about Better Joy. Blair Orange win number 8 in the Jewels, his first for a while, and an emotional win for him as well, given what had transpired in the previous week.
Yeah, of course, a couple of days earlier they had buried his long-time mentor and a guy who was so good to him in Mike Austin, and a lot of people feel that on the day. It's part of life, we all know, but Blair looking towards the heavens and saying, I'm sure, Mike, this one's for you. Blair Orange now on 169 wins for the season. He is the delightful Memphis to Dexter's Spanish Armada. Yep. If it wasn't for Spanish Armada and Dexter, we'd be sitting here going, what a season. Blair Orange, what a champion. As it is, he's going to finish 2nd. Him and Delightful Memphis must have little chats about this when they have a cry after the races at night.
Yeah, for sure. And Nigel McGrath with win number 1 in the Jewels. I'm sure it will be one of many in the future.
Oh, absolutely. And we were just talking off camera about David Butcher. Had a great day, didn't he? I mean, he was on a lot of cattle that weren't expected to run in the money. He'd never driven Angel of Harlem before, was placed here, placed on Step Up, gave Max Factor every opportunity, and Gentleman Sir ran a place as well. So good on you, DJB. You certainly had a good day.
He certainly did. When we return here on Your Box Seat, the Jewels wrap up. It'll be time to have a look at the rubies.
From President Royden, who's coming again. Ensign is hopping, skipping, in front, hopping, skipping, and winning. Ensign beat President Royden. Ruby, 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 Ruby.
Christchurch Casino, 3-year-old Ruby. Ensign had been on the warpath right through the 3-year-old season, only beaten once on race day, of course. That was in the Hambletonian behind Chevron Express. Got the blows in terms of the favourites on the day, drifted right out, and of course at the start, well, that's the most important part of the race, Michael. We're going to talk about this. In terms of a Group 1 start, this was about as bad as it gets.
Embarrassing, not good enough, disappointing, infuriating. Choose your own word. It's up to you. This is unprofessional. Half these horses are not on the gate. I expected the steward's report to have the starter sanctioned. He was not. All it said was that 4 or 5 horses were out of place. Now, I'm not saying it's entirely Peter Lamb's fault. I'm not saying that, because some of these drivers clearly weren't where they need to be, and that may be the horse's fault. That's not good enough. We are trying to broadcast into an international stage where Hong Kong broadcasts, where Royal Ascot will broadcast. You could bet on the Derby at Epsom the other day if you wanted to, and we are betting into Caulfield and Morfettville and Randwick all the time. If you produced a start like that in a galloping race, they would burn the joint down. That is a disgrace.
To be honest, Michael, I actually thought it was a false start. I just thought we're not going here, because, I mean, I look at 1,000 races a year,
well, Craig,
and you'll never see
half them were going, the other half away.
Well, the only thing I'd say, and I'm not defending him in any way, shape or form here, because it was a despicable line. No horse got checked as a result of a galloper. Therefore, the responsibility's on the drivers. I would say that under the guidelines of a starter, I'm not defending him, mate, but no. I'm just saying, under the guidelines of a starter, he would have had to press the go button.
Well, for a punter and a person that was a novice on the track, they would have wondered what was going on here, because we had 4 staggered lines at a start on over a mile. Now, as the result unfolded, the favourite won the race and the second favourite ran second. It probably didn't affect them, but if you're sitting back, as we were on our couch or at home or in the studio watching this race, it didn't look good.
Yeah, it didn't. Let's concentrate on the winner here, because this is an outstanding performance.
Ironically, the favourites ran first and second. Wonderful horse. He's obviously not trotting perfectly squarely. As you can see, the head's going up and down. Ricky May can't let him go. It's a good horse in front. It's a better horse sitting park, fellas. Magnificent season for him. It's far but finished. Look at Ricky here. He's still just kidding and kidding. That's Ricky's patience winning this race. Mark did everything he possibly could to beat him. A couple of really nice runs from 3rd and 4th, but Ingheim's just better than these horses. And it was a fair move for him to get the drift, because punters had the knowledge that he could do that, Greg, and he did do it, but he stayed down. And I think that's testament not only to Greg Hope, of course, but testament to Ricky May's driving.
What about one of the other stories to come out of the race? Rick may not have even been driving this horse. He had an issue in the car park when he arrived.
Hit by a car. I mean, I know he's little, but surely you cannot have just not seen him. You just run the poor bloke over. But hit by a car, didn't tell the stewards, which was smart, because he wasn't hurt. And he then got up to drive the horse. A whole range of stories come out of this. Ingheim presses on now to the Breeders' Crown Heat at Addington. then the Victoria Trotting Derby, then the Breeders' Crown Final. Those races don't go to his, shall we say, points for the voting for Trotter of the Year. Now, Monbay's the best trotter in the country by a mile, but I put to both Ricky May and to Greg Hope, who would you vote for? Because Monbay's only had 3 starts. He won them all. Ingheim's had 9 starts and won 8 of them, including the only 3 Group 1s he could possibly contest and a Group 2 and the Sale Series, which is listed. Has his body of work been better than Monbay's body of work? And the reason I'm asking you boys is because I can't decide yet. We're going to vote on this. I don't know who should be Trotter of the Year.
My mind and my brain would say that this bloke deserves to be Trotter of the Year, but it's very hard to justify that against the best Trotter of the Year, if you understand what I'm saying. He's only had 3 starts and won 2 Group 1s. So I think I'll sit back and let things unfold as what you do with the Jules, give it a little bit of time, and probably when the voting comes round, then analyse it.
I think, to be fair, there's only one other horse that have won those 4 races you talked about, both derbies and the size. So for him to be able to achieve that stamps him as the very best 3-year-olds or amongst them that we've ever had. But it's a big stretch to go to talk about an open class horse that won the 2 big ones.
Well, your heart says Monbay, doesn't it? Because we know how good Monbay is and he's that feel-good horse. But this horse has had a remarkable season.
And you think they're both by Love You? Yep. I mean, who had an unbelievable day. It's 6 runners in.
We're about to get more Love Yous coming up pretty shortly.
Absolutely.
President Royden's been a real revelation. Excellent in second. And if it wasn't for this horse again, you'd go, wow, this is a really good horse. I think they'll go to the Breeders' Crown too and the Victoria Trotting Derby, which, again, gives us something to go on with in the winter, something for us to look forward to. These 2 horses continuing their battles. He will beat him at some stage, President Royden, because at some stage Inghong will do something wrong. Ben Hope, who's the family statistician for the Hope family, said after winning that, their stable in the last 3 seasons, have won every 2, 3 and 4-year-old trot they could have contested. So not the Oaks, because they didn't have starters in them, but they won everything else, because they hadn't won a 3-year-old Jules, and now they have. So add that to all Monbays, the Sire Stakes, the Derbies these horses have won. It's been a remarkable domination of the trotting ranks in those age groups.
Let's hear from those directly behind, 2nd and 3rd, Inheim.
Mark, take us through the efforts of President Royden.
Yeah, he tried hard. He got beaten out of the gate, and I came back round Dex onto the front, and Inheim moved. I could feel him coming closer and closer down the back, but he was just too strong, and you know, he's just too good. He tried hard, my horse, but wasn't good enough.
Right, what are your plans with him now, Mark?
Look, he would probably go to Melbourne and that and prepare for the Victorian Derby, I'd say.
Nat, she's rounded it out well.
Oh, she ran a great race, really. Didn't go in sort of with big hopes. I just took all the shortcuts, and she actually found the line really good. You know, had she been maybe 1 or 2 spots close, she could have finished just a touch closer. Not saying she would have beat the other guys, but, you know, she took good ground off them.
War Spirit and Habibi Inter, both pretty good, especially War Spirit from the outside from Kevin Townley. I thought went a great race to get itself into 4th. Let's move on to the next of our rubies. This the 4-year-old with Macmillan Feeds, and well, it was one of the more even races on the day. Let's build into it.
Wilma's Mate, she's powering clear, 2 lengths on Gentleman Sir, and then Dark Horse. Wilma's Mate though, it's been an up and down week for Davey Budd, but it ends on a high.
So many stories associated with the winning performance of Wilma's Mate. 3rd win at the Jules, of course, for Paul Nairn. He won on the inaugural Jules Day with Stig. Here was the start. She came up with Barrier 1. A lot of talk about who was going to lead, what was going to come out of the gate here, and, well, surprising for some, Gentleman Sir showed really good speed early.
Well, we had no indication of how quick he would come off the gate because we've never seen him off the mobile, but he was excellent. David got him to the lead, and right about now, once Mark Cooler was trapped wide and couldn't get around them, Wilma's Mate this big, beautiful gap appeared, Craig, and she was able to get off. And this was one of those races, if you could bet at the halfway mark, you could not have got enough on here.
Well, there was nothing that could come from the back of the field that was going to be in it from here, because when she strode to the front at this point, she put Gentleman Sir in the trail, and back half of the field, I'm talking Le Mans, Temporales, they could never get into this race. she's won $320,000 this mare, so she's a super class mare. What I wasn't sure of, where she was going to posse up. She had never showed great gate speed, but she got in the right spot, and the barrier draw put her there, and from there she controlled the tempo. And as the race progressed, Greg, she actually got away on them. Thought a great run from the second horse. He's I Love You. We talked about it earlier on. He was very lowly rated in the ranks, and when he was lined up here, because only having his 11th start, and he's won 4 races, so he'll be open class next season for sure. Dark Horse, I thought she was okay. Probably expected a little bit more than her, but I think she's probably had a long season.
Yeah, she's come a long way
in a very short time, so she'll make her way to open class as well. But
at this point,
can't take it away from the leader. She was just far too good for them.
The second horse actually came back at her at the line, and she does tend to shut up.
She was knocking off.
Yeah. But when you look at them, take her out of the play. The second horse has actually run away from the others. He has done a super job on his first prep.
Yeah, he really has. Right here, too far in front, does try and pull up a little
fast.
bit. Yeah, way too quick for them.
What a great story. Davey Butt a week ago, even a few days ago, but a week ago, thought he could not drive in the series, suffering from vertigo, might have been from a virus, thought he might have had a stroke. And that's really scary stuff. Stuff inside your noggin's really scary. It's not like a broken arm where you can see it and you see it heal. If you've had a concussion or you've had vertigo, it's really terrifying. And David was worried. Drove Friday morning at home, drove the horse perfectly after the race. Look, if chewing gum gives you vertigo, that's the problem, because he's just chewing away, happy as Larry. It was a really nice comeback story from him in a very short period of time. And Paul Neame, what do you say? I mean, Greg, he just gets them as right as they can be, and they race up to the limits of their ability more often than they don't.
Wonderful breed. This one by Pegasus Spur, but this is the family of the Don son of the Don, Galleon's Assassin.
It's a deep family.
Is a really deep family, and that was her first win this season, and when you consider what she was able to achieve at 3, particularly in Australia, she's not finished.
No, she's not. She's not been overly raced either, so you'd think as a 5-year-old being what she is, a Pegasus Spur, she'll get better. And I mean, a lot of her form has been from a mobile, because the stand's always been her nemesis, but she got it right here, and she was too good for him.
The shoes came off her on Monday. Paul pulled those off. He said, look, next season, lots of options. Australia's an option for her. She's raced well there before. She's obviously getting better from the mobile. She's a horse who, even if she never raced again, wonderful broodmare potential. Let's not forget, she won the Victoria Derby last year and the Breeders' Crown. So excellent, I thought, first. Second, very, very good. Those back in the field, Temporale, slight problem across the back.
Mark Kohler?
Didn't see the best of him. Mark Kohler didn't appear to put in, but willing to forgive because he's wide on the track. Yeah. Not so much fun if you're on the punt. Thought Le Monde probably got too far back and made all right ground. But I think there's also a lot of horses in this crop who have gone from 3-year-olds to mature racing open class 4-year-olds, and a lot of them are very ready for the paddock.
What it did tell us, and what we already knew, was the Love Yous are like Bettor's Delights. You just can't get enough of them. And they only had 6 in there. They won 2, were placed 2 times. I think they ran 4th with Le Monde. Only one that didn't run on the money was a BB Inter, and it ran 5th. If you've got one, you've got a gem.
It's an amazing strike rate at this stage. All right, here's what those beaten brigade had to say.
Nath, your impressions of the run?
Yeah, look, we got a nice run in transit. Probably had to move a fraction early from the ideal, but no excuses. I mean, the winner was too good, and so was the second horse. She's gone well, but yeah, she probably just needs to find a length or 2 to be up to the very best.
We'll put your trainer hat on now. What do you do with it?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. We're just discussing it with the owners. We'll just probably, not make in a call yet, but more than likely the paddock. She's had a big season, and I just probably she has come to the end of it. So hopefully she's better in the Round Cup time.
Sam Masandi, what did you make of her efforts today?
No, very pleasing, Matthew. She didn't have a lot of luck in running, actually. Mark Kohler's gone to go 3 wide and then got hump 4, and I've sort of gone to slide back down and get back on the 3 wide train, but it was sort of off and gone by that stage, and you're just too far back. When they're running those times, you can't afford to be getting back. But she hit the line good when she did get clear, so can't ask for much more than that.
All right, Clint, what did you make of the run?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether I should have pressed on, but I got in behind Nath. Thought I'd have a bit of cover for 300 or 400 metres, and then at the end of the straight decided to move forward, and he came out in front of me and then got pushed 4 wide around the bend. So he's battled on, fair enough, without being outstanding.
Right, how did he trot compared to Addington?
Oh, he trotted good, trotted nice. Yep. No, he went. There's nothing wrong with his gait. He went as good as gold, but just at the speed that we went, a bit hard, I suppose, 4 wide.
What are your plans with him now?
He's in the spelling paddock now.
Tony, your thoughts on the run?
We got a fair way back than what I thought, but in saying that, he just wasn't quite trotting as good as what he can, and had a gallop with 150 metres to go, so he just wasn't quite right on the day, and so we'll have a bit of a let up now and regroup.
That's Tony Herlihy, and of course the Rowe Cup winner disappointed temporarily. Let's move to the 2-year-old at Ruby, which of course was with Newman Tyres.
Paramount King holding at the moment. One Muscle Hill and Castle Ray. It's the leggy, the flashy chestnut. Paramount King clinging on and winning it.
It's been gone, my love, beyond my wildest dreams.
Yeah, the 2-year-old Ruby, the second on the program, and first opportunity for those green colours to grab the first win by the Australians in the harness duels. Wasn't to be. Let's go to the start and see what unfolded here. Good early speed from Springbank Lockie, and of course Sunday Sun had put on a bit of a performance, making it take 2 of race 2.
Absolutely, we had a false start earlier on. What I liked about this was there's only 2 gallopers out of the race. So one of them was Imperial Wiz, and then you see More Shades of Gold have a gallop here.
Yeah.
So other than that, the others trotted throughout, which is really you've seen in a 2-year-old trot in the past. But when we picked them up here, Springbank Lockie's found the front, and you could see BJ Lindini come 3 wide. Paramount King was just balanced up by Josh Dickey. He's a big lump of a thing, and you've got to kind of give him time to work into it. And it worked out nicely. Because I think with Springbank Lockie, he'd had a bit of a quiet time leading into this race, and they want to give him the easiest run possible. They thought handing to Josh was the perfect thing, because Josh just rolled and really gave nothing else a chance to get into the race. They put One Muscle Hill, the main danger, 3 back on the fence, and from there, this boy, I thought maybe they were going one too many times with him because he had such a long season, but he's a genius trainer, Josh and John Dickey. They've had so many good horses, and they've got another very good here.
Well, number 4 from start 8. What about this breed? Paramount Gigi, Paramount Queen, and Dream as well. Multiple winners.
And they paid big money. They weren't mucking around. They paid 120 for this horse last year because there's only 2 Love Yous at the sale last year. Excuse me. Round about here, that Love You blood kicks in. He's not a 2-year-old. We all know that. Everybody who knows anything about racing know he's a 3-year-old, and they just, again, stretch the rubber band as far as they could. But he kicks off here. If he's by a different stallion, he probably stops. So One Muscle Hill goes outside, has to come back to the inside, probably gets held up a touch, but the straight's long enough. He's had his chance to get to him, and he gets awfully close. But this winner just keeps on trucking, beautifully trained, because he wasn't, I think, at his peak on this occasion. They've done the best they could with him. Castle Ray, excellent in 3rd. But those green Australian colours, so close to that first Australian victory.
Yeah, I think runs it behind. The Majestic Man was quite good, Greg, and I think there was another one that was hit the line quite nicely with its stablemate Majestic Connie, but I think they all had their chance. They were there to shoot down the leader. They just couldn't do it.
Yep, he was too good again, and we expect to see a lot from him at 3 because, like you keep saying, it's all about the next few seasons for him because he certainly didn't look the body shape of a 2-year-old. What about the Beaten Brigade?
Well, they took the gamble, Mark, and it almost paid off.
Yeah, they tried. Yeah, no, he went well. He tried hard.
Yep. What do you think they'll do with him now, Mark?
He'd go back home and probably have a break and maybe possibly get ready for the Breeders' Crown.
Sam, fair to say, a little bit more luck for you today.
Yeah, that's right, Matty. No, he hadn't had a lot of luck in his last 2 runs, and today, he got a near enough trip through. He didn't really get carted into it as good as I would have liked, and the leader was bowling along and was motoring around that bend. But to his credit, he dug deep and he fought the whole way to the line, and 3rd's a great result, really.
Brad, Majestic Man, give us your thoughts on the run.
Initially, the thoughts of the run, Matt, were pretty disappointing, to be fair, but then we've got to remember that he was almighty last start, and perhaps I think I had to ask him for so much last start to win that perhaps I might have taken a bit of the stuffing out of him for today. He just felt slightly on the tired side as opposed to he's usually up on the bit travelling. He was off the bit and struggling a fair way from home. So, no, he's a horse that's due for a spell. He's had a big year, so we're hoping that he'll strengthen up from a spell and come back a better horse.
Well, Matty, what are your thoughts post-race?
Very, very disappointing. He just was gone probably at the 600. He obviously just hasn't recovered from when he got crook, and he raced poorly.
Ricky, our Ricky, at only start number 3 or 4, what did you think?
I was pretty wrapped with her, really. She probably lacks the high speed of some of the other horses, but I mean, she trotted all the way and felt good all the way, but just couldn't muster the speed in the straight. And she was running on, sort of kept going the last bit, so that was good.
Just want to thank a couple of people. Matt Cross, massive job on the day, getting all of those beaten drivers and getting the build into from the stables as well. I thought he did a great job. Marianne Twentyman put together a whole lot of stuff for this, and we turn up on the day, Michael, and it seems pretty easy and straightforward, and people go, "Wow, that was cool." But there's a lot of work goes in behind.
Well, that's not technically true. You did a lot of pre-start interviews, like on Friday. Craig and I turned up on the day. I ate a whole bunch of lollies and had about 4 coffees. It was great fun. I'll tell you what, Mark Mack was good. I've had a few people comment to me about, recently I said Mark McNamara is the best commentator of harness racing, and I stick by it 100%. I think the game's moved on, and we've had some wonderful voice commentators who have told great stories. Dave Clarkson, obviously Rion's fantastic, Reg Clapp, Albie Gunn. You're lucky to have all these people. They're all wonderful. But Mark creates a story inside the race and a narrative, and some of the things he says at the end of races are so witty and so smart, I can't believe it's the same person I talked to off camera.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
I'll tell you about the feedback I had during the week was the drone coverage, absolutely outstanding, and also the speedometer on the sulkies, coverage that you don't get anywhere else in the world.
The stuff above the horses was really cool.
Incredible.
I would like to see more of it.
The Heaven Rocks vision that we saw, with above the horses, it got away from them.
Yeah,
And
incredible.
also the horse people. Horse people were really good. Like, it must be tempting to say I don't want to talk to you on race day because there's so much other things going on. So, look, it's a team effort.
To Everard Petrie and the Canterbury crew, because I'm lucky, mate. Every time I go to work, they're there, and they are nothing short of outstanding.
I'll ask you boys later on before we end this program what needs to change about the jewels, or what you would change given an opportunity.
Okay.
That's coming up soon.
Right, we'll do that. Let's have a look at some of the bigger bets through from the bookmakers. Here's a quick summation for you. A decent couple of bets there. Dizzy Miss Lizzie.
The Ashley Lopez one is interesting. $1,200 at $5. Winners paid $40. You think, well, they're taking unders. They only paid about $2.60 a place.
Yeah.
Very strange win dividend versus place dividend. The losses, a few of them, fellas, and the Spankin one would have really hurt. And Ultimate Machete even worse because you've led and been run down pretty much on the line.
Yep. Here's some more for you. Best backed on the day was Al Mac, most multis through Piccadilly Princess, that's not surprising. And killed off were the multi-players with Spankin's race.
And the drifters Eng Hein, obviously, because the money coming for, obviously, President Royden backed in. Dizzy Miss Lizzie, 11-7. Well, the barrier draw didn't suggest that, but she got the right run. Delightful Memphis, the barrier draw certainly put her in the right spot. And the disappointment on the day, Waikiki Beach.
Yeah, they were two significant movers, weren't they? Okay, Michael, from here we need to work out where all these Kiwis are going.
Well, this is the list of ones we know who are going somewhere to Australia, and this is obviously going to be fun for you to watch with our new coverage on Saturday nights on Trackside 1. More the better's gone to Queensland. He's already there, so he'll compete in a whole range of races. Spanish Armada and Party on, likely Queensland, definitely Victoria for the Breeders' Crown. President Royden, Trot Derby, Victoria. This is the All-Stars ones, first of all. Duplicated in Sicario. Sicario's there, trialled very strongly yesterday. Actually beat Salty Robin yesterday at the trials at Menangle. Duplicated, as we saw the other day, very good. Vincent's in New South Wales will win the Breeders' Challenge unless something disastrous happens, then goes to the Crown. Stars Align, Greg, I believe, joining Dean Braun.
Yep.
Now, we might see a bit more of this. New Zealand horses who go and join Australian trainers. We'll talk about that in a sec. Greg and Nina are taking Eng Hein. He'll contest the Breeders' Crown heat at Addington. Then Vic Derby ABC final. So President Royden and him go to war. They might take a travelling companion. More Shades of Gold has joined Nicole Melander, obviously owned in the stable, and will do a super job over there. And Delightful Memphis, Queensland Oaks, not eligible Breeders' Crown, then sticking around in New South Wales. Greg, probably makes sense.
Yeah, she left this morning and, yep, she's already there. So we look forward to
the ones I don't know about, Alta Maestro, I haven't spoken to Robin and John Dunn, but they might be tempted to press
What
on.
about Gentle Giant?
They weren't indications. With Sicario there and Duplicated, that's probably 2. It's hard to take 3 to the Breeders' Crown. So I wouldn't be surprised if
their original thoughts were yes. But he got beat the other day.
So. 1 or 2 more pushed on to the Breeders' Crown in particular. Tough for people like Dizzy Miss Lizzie, not eligible for the Breeders' Crown. You'd just love to be because it's enormous money. Which brings us another point. If you own a broodmare out there, honestly, I think it's about $60. I mean, spend the 60. Even if you never take the horse yourself, makes them infinitely more sellable at the sales.
All right, just before we leave the harness jewels, the elephant in the room was the TAB site going down. Yeah, not good enough. Understand it was an e-bet issue, so you couldn't log on. Therefore, you wouldn't have been able to watch the races if you were potentially at the rugby as well. And we just can't afford this to happen again. I know there's been apologies go out to the club, obviously to harness racing and for punters around the country. But yeah, on big days, this needs to go away. We keep talking about the betting platforms, Michael, and this is part of you know, getting those things right, because yeah, we need the high turnover on the big days.
It's happened on Melbourne Cup. That's happened on Boxing Day at Ellerslie. It's tremendously disappointing. I have no idea how these things work. Absolutely no clue. It's like a car engine to me. I know there is one. I don't know how it works. They talk about infrastructure all the time in racing. The racing board are obviously trying to get this right. These new betting platforms are coming in. People at home don't care about that. They just want it to work. Hopefully, eventually it will work. But these systems were set up, some of them 20 or 30 years ago, and we're playing catch up with them. And that's the best excuse, best reason we can give you. There's no excuses, nothing to do with us. The racing board are more frustrated by it than most other people, but it's not good enough for you at home. We understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems to be on turnover days, doesn't it? Our feature days, Capital Day, Hawke's Bay happened, I think, obviously Queen's birthday weekend, a lot of happening at Jules, obviously with the racing going on.
Well, Craig, the more things you try and do with your computer at home, the more programs you try and run, the slower it goes. Times that by 1,000 on a big race day and things crash.
All right, we look forward to that going away and we never discuss it again, hopefully. Okay, we've got some prize winners. Last week we asked you how many had Bettor's Delight side in the Jules. He's up to 22 now, of course, after 11 harness Jules. And here's the 5 winners that get the pack. Craig Haywick, Jeff Hurst, Paula Holmes, John Ruxton and Todd Dallard, and we got a whole lot of entries.
Thank you for entering.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Well, it's cool.
We'll be in contact. Glenn Bourne's got nothing better to do after the last box.
I want to ask you about the Jules. I enjoyed the racing, it was fantastic. I realise it's a huge job for a small club who doesn't have a lot of full-time employees.
And well done to them. Fiona Stewart, Gareth, the team there, they worked very hard.
I think it's time for the executive to sit down, this is only my opinion, and have a really open discussion about the Jules and what it all means and where we go with it. And I would like to see this happen. If you bring a major sporting event to Auckland, and I can only talk about Auckland because I know about this personally, AT'd, Auckland Tourism, pid money into it. At the moment, we're not getting any money from the Rakai Council, and we're not getting any money from those in Hamilton to bring these events. I think we should open a tender process and say to any club in the country...
Well, this is what happened in Melbourne, isn't it?
Yep, open tender. We want to know what your local district body will do for us. We want to know what you can do on track. The atmosphere on track was flat. Ashburton did a great job putting this on. It's a small club, but there was no atmosphere on track. It's not a great viewing track. Say to any club in the country, and Addington and Alexandra Park can be involved, put us a proposal, a business plan, and then I reckon that the executive should open themselves, fellas, to examining that business plan and saying if it happens to be Winton and Wyndham and they're going to base it around oysters and great things and cherry blossoms or whatever you want to do, and if it's Nelson and they're going to have a wine and food festival on the day, we should listen to all those conversations. It should not by right, in my opinion, go to Ashburton and Cambridge, because everything should be open to change in a business, and this is a business. What are your boys' views on that?
Yeah, well, I talked about it about 3 weeks ago on this show. I said maybe we need to look at going to the Deep South. Maybe Wyndham. I know, Michael, you're talking about Nelson, but for me, you'd have to have a change of calendar year for that to happen. I don't think we'd want to be going there in the middle of June to Nelson. I think if you're going to go there or even to Winton, you're going to have to be going the earlier part of the season or later part of the season.
Although Nelson's still one of the hotter spots.
It is, but I'm more worried about Winton and Wyndham in the middle part of June. So I think they're mile tracks, though, which would suit our type of racing to get fast times.
Everything's open. We run the Jules, the industry runs it. What about if we don't run it in winter anymore? What say we go calendar year to calendar year? You start qualifying on January the 1st, you race to December 31, and we hold it in summer about the 3rd week of January, and everybody's in play. The weather's not a factor. I'm not saying we should do this.
You couldn't have the 2-year-olds though, so that takes them out of play.
So they'll be 3, 4 and 5-year-olds. So you qualify over the course of... I reckon we should have a really open conversation about it, because no one owns this. We all own it. Cambridge and Ashburton don't, and this is not in any way slagging them, but there wasn't, for me, any major race day hype on track. Now, I wasn't in the corporate areas, but compare it to, say, Ellerslie or Trentham on a bigger day, and they're far bigger population areas, but it still felt to me relatively flat.
Yep, it was. It's a long discussion. Clearly, this is our last show, so we need to, think about that over the winter period, it certainly is well worth looking into. One of the things I have a big problem with, though, is it's all very well say take it to Southland. Logistically, mate, it's not just getting horses there. It's the infrastructure. Everyone has to shift down there. That's trackside, that's Harness Racing New Zealand, that's everything has to move. So it's bigger than just saying, oh, I think it'll be fantastic.
And that's where the local councils...
They need to
cough up their 50k or something, because all the money spent in hotels in Ashburton, those people pay their money to their councils to get this money back. The fact that the local councils are not contributing to this is not good enough.
No, it isn't, for sure. Well, we look forward to getting a result out of that at some stage. Tell you something Harness Racing New Zealand have been working on, and this is courtesy of the Youth Development Fund that the Racing Board have put up. I think this is a great thing, Michael. New trials, trials drivers, junior drivers, trainers under the age of 30. There is some conditions around it, but this just encourages them to be involved.
It's a start. It's a start, fellas. And the next one is what we need to do in the north, and that is have a training centre so young people don't have to buy property. These things don't cost you an enormous amount of money, but it's a really good start. Craig, property costs a lot of money in Auckland, and most young people getting into the game can't afford property. We need to develop training centres like they have in New Jersey, where you can go, set up shop in your 8 or 10 stables and somewhere to work from, because this is a start, but the property is the big issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Very difficult for young trainers to get property in the North Island with the expense that they've got, so they have to rent boxes out at Franklin, and even that's not a cheap exercise. So a good starting point, Greg, and something that I think well worth doing.
Right, that wraps up the Harness Duels, amongst other things, towards the end there, the 11th running of them. When we return, we've had someone saluted by the Queen over the weekend. We'll catch up with him. And we're in the home straight for your box seat season, of course, with Sweet Lou standing at Woodlands. Acknowledgement from the Queen is as high as you can get in this country, and of course we have a new inductee. Joining us on the line, member of the New Zealand Order of Merit, is none other than Maurice McHenry. And Maurice, I'm sure for you, and in particular your family, it was a pretty special moment. A very good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening, Greg. Yeah, it was a great honour, and yeah, the family was quite chuffed about it, really, so... yeah, that was great.
All right, in terms of acknowledgement and I suppose your efforts in this game, where does it sit? How highly does it rate with you?
Yeah, well, I suppose, you know, you never expect to get these sort of things, and, you know, it's quite amazing, really. I never thought I'd get anything like this when I started, and, you know, you're just doing your job, and it's just all the support that I've had, I suppose, over the years. It's a reflection of that, I think, and all the trainers and owners that have helped me along the way, I think.
Not a bad effort for the boy from Methven. Another little bloke's honing in on 3,000 wins too, and RT May, and you're almost at 3,200 wins and $27 million in stake money, Maurice. You probably wonder every now and again where that's gone.
Yeah, I do. There's nothing left.
That was until recently with the property, of course. We'll leave that one to the side, though. Michael Morris, alongside Tony Hurley in the 3,000 win club, and how many races over the years have they quinelled?
Yeah, it'd be an enormous amount. Hey, Macca, well done on behalf of everybody in the industry, mate. Over that period of time, you don't seem to have changed your driving style. There seems some people have gone a bit more jiggy and the sulky, and they move around a bit more, they lean back a bit more. Have you found, Macca, what works for you has worked for you for the last 30 years, so it's going to keep on working for you?
Yeah, well, I suppose, you know, you see some people, you know, lean out the back and some lean forward, but yeah, I just sort of sit the way you're comfy, and I think if you're comfy, it's got to be better for everything, the horse and everything. So, but some of these new carts now, they do fly you back a little bit, and I think that's the trend that we're heading down a bit, probably, with Dexter going so good at it, and the Americans doing it. But, yeah, just the new carts, I think, is changing a lot of styles, and some of the young fellas are trying to, you know, revert to it a bit. So, Macca, yeah, things will change.
I've got an embarrassing question for you, because I know you don't want to answer this. Why are you a good driver?
I don't know if I am. Yeah, well, everyone's good at something, I think. And that's about the only thing I've been good at.
Hey, McHenry, congratulations, mate. You drove your first winner in 1976, and they say it takes a good horse to get your career underway. I think in 1984 you drove a good horse in Placid Victor. You won 12 occasions that season on him in 16 starts, and of course you won the Derby with him. Was he your stepping stone at that point?
Yeah, probably. I started off with Irvin Burns, and he was probably a great mentor for me. And my first winner was Pleasant Command, and he went to open class. So I started on some pretty good stock, and then I had Gold Rand as well to back that up. So yeah, I've always had some handy horses to drive, but probably Placid Victor being the first Group 1, I think he was at the time, in my first Derby, and I always wanted to win a Derby, and so it was a great thrill. That was a big thrill that time, you know. So, yeah.
Let's have a look at some of your other big wins. The Rowe Cup's been very good to you, and our Sunny Wiz provided you with one of a number of wins in that great race. Of course, you drove the mighty David Moss. Other winners, Mario Sultan in the mid-80s, Directorship. This mare had to come out and sit parked, and she was very strong, Morris.
Yeah, she's a good mare. Yeah, Ken had her dead right that night, and yeah, she did it. She was a lot of speed. Very good mare.
Yep, she bolted in and won very comfortably in the end. The Auckland Cup, you secured one of those with Sir Lincoln, and I know this one was pretty special as well.
Yeah, he was really, because yeah, John always wanted to win and Graham Blackburn and John Street, they wanted to win an Auckland Cup, so it was great when we got it done, and he was a great horse, and you know, it was good for the horse as well. Yeah. Yeah,
he beat Terra to Love on this occasion. Morris, you've driven almost 21,000 races now. What does the future hold? Training-wise, of course, you had horses like Ho Wong and Shandale in recent times. What does the future hold as we have a look at some of your major wins? Rowe Cups 4, Derbies, which you love winning, 3 Jewels as well, a couple of Taylor Miles. So there's only one missing there, but you were telling me yesterday the New Zealand Cup has never really worried you. You love winning the Derbies.
Yeah. You know, I started off with Alistair Kerslake down south, and when I was there we won the Derby with Bachelor Star, and just about got the Quinella with Golden Guest. But so it was always my major race. I thought I always loved the Derby, and you know, I ended up winning a few times, so it's been great. But yeah, never really had the open class horses to win the great race. There's only one horse I really had that went really good, was a Kylie's Hero, but I went too soon and got on the wrong line that day, but that's another story. But but yeah, you just got to be lucky to get on the right type of horse to win that sort of race, I think. So
there was still a victory for Methven, Morris. Of course, Ricky May getting over the top with Inky Lord. On behalf of the industry, congratulations on being acknowledged, and thanks for joining us on the box seat, and for your contribution over the year as well. You've always been very obliging.
Yeah, no, thanks, Greg. Great.
There he is, Maurice McHenry, always understated. Your mate, he always says hello to you in that way, and he just never changes, does he?
And it's great that both him and Tony have the same recognition now in the Queen's Birthday Honours list. And you know, a lot of people in racing would deserve recognition, but you can't give them to everybody. These guys are over 3,000. Ricky's going to get there eventually, and Dexter will probably be there in a couple of years, the way things are going. But he's a good guy. He's just a good guy, and everybody likes Morris, and there's no rubbish with him. He calls a spade, Craig. You deal with him every Friday night at Alexandra Park, and he just tells you the truth about him.
He does. He could buy lunch at the Franklin Trials next Wednesday, because he didn't get his hand in his pocket very often, but now he's a celebrity. Maybe he'll do it a bit more. So good on you, mate. Well done, and thoroughly deserved.
He did recently sell his property. I believe he's going to still train out of there, though. So I think Morris will be knocking around for another 10 years or so before we have to talk about retirement for him.
All right, this is the last show of the season for us, so we've come up with our highlight. Craig, you go back to November being the second Tuesday.
Well, yeah, I think everyone's highlight, I think, was Lazarus on this day. He was incredible. You don't win a New Zealand Cup by 10 lengths, and this bloke did it. Of course, he went 353 and had a stellar season. I think he won 12 races. So on a day that you want the best horses winning the New Zealand Cup, and he beat some pretty good ones this day, including Smolder, Chris and me, and a few others. He was sensational.
We all voted for the same one, and then we had to change them because we couldn't all have the same horses our whole lot of the year. This was wonderful. I tell you what was special. for one of the greats of harness racing, Neil Pilcher, to see his horse Smolder come out and win it into Dominion. I didn't think Smolder would get round Gloucester Park. Hector JJ, the height was enormous on him, and Hector JJ's got him on the bend, and Smolder, who was the rejuvenation story of the season, kept on going. Here's Smolder winning the Inter Dominion.
JJ Smolder lifting too strong. Smolder for Mark Purdon, the Kiwi has won.
Yeah, an amazing performance from him and a season to behold. Over $1 million he did earn. My highlight, well, I'm going to Victoria. Lucky enough to be there on the night that Lazarus did this to the Australians. They're still claiming he's not the best in Australasia, but I think this proved that he was. He absolutely gave them a pummeling here. Let's get Dan Malecki to bring them home.
Lazarus is going to bring them. The Ainsbury Victoria Cup goes to Lazarus by 10 metres. Major Crocker, career best.
He should have been able to do that. I know it probably wasn't the deepest Victoria Cup field, but he was simply sublime. Our producer Glenn Bourne's had a big year. He's now side twins as well, or a couple at the same time. He came up with this because he backed a horse in the Auckland Cup and paid a big place price. And here's dream about me winning, but the real story for him was Ugg the win.
Well, isn't this a story of life? Isn't it the fact that no matter if you back a winner, a race seems that much more important to you, even if it runs second. So this was actually one of the performances of the season from the winner. Glenn backed the second horse, so I think it's the only winner he's backed in the last 7 years. But there's a dream about me, and it's easy to forget these performances, guys. It's easy to forget what Mark Kohler did on Christmas Eve at Cambridge and Spanish Armada in the Oaks. There's so many stunning
Ultimate
wins.
Machete in the size.
Yeah, exactly.
Stakes.
You get to them,
on and on.
It's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun to bring it to you every week. And you know what? People say to me after the show, that was ridiculous, that was rubbish, or that was good, whatever. You can just tell the truth. And most of us see the same stuff, and it's cool to rock up here every Wednesday night and get to talk about it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate your efforts throughout the season, Wale. It's been another very enjoyable
It's been a wonderful season, boys. I think we've covered a lot of topics over the last 6 to 8 months, and a lot of them controversial, but hey, this is what we're here for, and try to put it in perspective.
If we come back in October, nothing's set in stone, what's the one thing you'd like to see fixed by then?
Our handicapping system.
The rating system?
Absolutely. I think at the moment we're a little bit divided north and south. I think by October we should have an answer.
I reckon I'm with you. I reckon by October we should have it capped. Maybe, I don't know what the number should be, 85 maximum for 3-year-olds end of season, 2-year-olds maximum 70, 65. It's a pretty easy solution, I think. I don't know enough about it, but yep. Greg, that's what I'd like to see us fix over the winter.
Yep, I agree, and I think we'll just leave that there on behalf of Glenn Bourne, who's been working hard throughout this entire season. And to you, the trainers and drivers at home, this is your show. Without you and what you contribute to it, would basically just be the three of us sitting here having a chat. So a big ups to you. Hope the winter is not too wet and cold for you, and we look forward to seeing you in season 2017-18. Enjoy it.